Hi everybody, my name is Natalia and welcome to my channel. As you can tell by the title of this video, I will be talking about my experience with cancer. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer back in 2019. So if you're somebody who is currently going through a type of, thyroid cancer or any cancer diagnosis, or you know somebody who's going through it, or you just are looking to get more information about the topic, then definitely keep watching. So I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2019, but my story actually begins back in 2012 officially. So that's where I'm going to start. So back in 2012, I was 19 years old. I had just finished my first year of university. And I was living with a few roommates. And I started noticing that I was getting tired, I was getting winded. It was hard for me to climb up a lot of stairs. It was hard for me to go on long walks, especially anything that was hilly. A hike was out of the question for me. I was like, there's no way I can, hike. That'll just tire me out. And I was just starting to take naps, and this was something that I never did. So I booked an appointment with my doctor, and I kind of let her know what was going on, how I was feeling. Basically my doctor just told me to drink more water, try to go to bed early, and limit phone time before bed. So, I just kind of listened to her, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just, tired and I'll deal with it. So after that appointment, years go by, but I was gradually getting more and more fatigued, but because it was so gradual, I really didn't notice it at all until it was 2017, 2018, and I would be taking, don't judge me, don't call me lazy, please, but I would be taking 3-hour plus long naps daily. And oh my gosh, I was working retail throughout college, after college, and retail, you kind of have hours that are all over the place. And let me tell you, I would get off a 8-hour shift, I would come home, I would eat lunch, eat dinner, whatever, and I would just go to bed. It could be 2 p.m. that I would be home, and I would be in bed dead asleep until 7 p.m. at night. Wake up so disoriented, realize it's only 7 p.m. it's not the next day yet. I'd shower real quick, brush my teeth, maybe have a snack, and I would go back to bed, and I wouldn't be awake until the next day, and I had to go to work. It was this really unhealthy cycle, and I just got used to it. And I was, my doctor told me nothing was wrong when I went in, saying that I was tired all the time. It came on gradual, and then I had it in my head, well, I'm working kind of retail hours, I don't have a set schedule, my body is probably just, tired. One day I wake up early, one day I get to sleep in, my body was probably just tired. I was also canceling plans with friends left and right to sleep. And I remember feeling guilty and really bad, oh my gosh, my excuse is I have to think of an excuse, because I can't tell my friend, oh, sorry, can't hang out Friday night because I need to sleep, even though I did nothing. So I would, come up with these excuses, and sorry if you're my friends, don't judge me, but I just did not feel good. So, I was canceling plans left and right. I would leave early, I would be late to things, and because I'd be sleeping and I literally could not get the energy to get myself out of bed. And 2019 comes around, and I switched to a brand new doctor, and it's specific to women's health, and I was due for my annual pap smear, which no fun, ladies, but you got to do that. Stay on top of your pap smears. That's a really important test, and that's a whole nother story. But so I was due for my pap smear, made my appointment, went in, thinking, nothing would come of it. And about halfway through the appointment, once, the uncomfortable part was over and we were just kind of talking back and forth with the doctor, she was telling me about the clinic and, I was a new patient, so she was telling me all the services that they offer, and she was kind of looking at my neck, and she asked me if she could, feel my neck and stuff, and she had me swallow a few times, and then, after a few minutes, she told me that she is going to recommend me to get an ultrasound of my neck because she saw a lump. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? Like, a lump on my neck? I was like, you can get cancer, like neck cancer? Like, what? So she was, she calmed me down a bit. She was like, it's probably nothing. She was like, the thyroid is located in the neck, and a lot of women get these nodules that are, just kind of harmless lumps that form on the thyroid, and it just causes, little bumps to form. And, over 90% of the time, they're non-cancerous, there's nothing to worry about. So she kind of got it in my head that I had nothing to worry about, it's probably nothing, but that she recommended that I go see a specialist. So I kind of put it off for a bit. An ultrasound, I was like, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to pay for it, But I finally scheduled one about a month later, and I had my ultrasound. And, when you just have a feeling in your gut, I don't know, it was in that appointment with the ultrasound specialist that I just had this feeling. I also noticed that because they take the ultrasound wand and they go over your whole neck, and they do one side at a time. And I noticed that when she was doing my right side, it took her significantly longer to get through, and she was taking like picture after picture after picture. And they're not really supposed to say anything during that appointment because they're not, allowed to. But, you just have this like gut feeling. So anyways, the, appointment was like 20 or 30 minutes long, and, you have the goop on your neck and, the wand. It's not uncomfortable or anything, but you do have to be still, and, you're not supposed to swallow too much. And of course, when they tell you not to swallow, all you want to do is swallow. Like, all of a sudden your mouth is like dripping in spit. But yeah, so got through that appointment, and like I said, I just had this gut feeling. So I had to wait around for a couple of days before I heard anything. So anyways, a few days later, I get a phone call from my doctor, and they told me that my results were in from my ultrasound, and that they're recommending me to get a biopsy of the area because there was a mass found on my thyroid that did look highly suspicious. So so from there I had to get a biopsy appointment booked, and that happened about a week later. And oh my god, the biopsy was horrible. So I was getting over a cold, had a little bit of a cough, and a lingering cough. And so I go in for the biopsy, and they put this, big like paper, thing over you with a hole on the neck. And, you're laying down, and the doctor comes in, and, they kind of tell you beforehand what they're going to be doing to you before they do it. I almost feel like that's worse, because then you're expecting everything, but anticipating everything. So anyways, he kind of lets me know what's going to be going on. He told me that the first step is to numb the area. Then once they numb the area, they go in with 3 different needles, and they kind of they use a ultrasound machine to kind of see where they're puncturing, and they have to remove cells from the lump or the area that looks suspicious, and they get those tested, and they have to do that 3 different times. So, I'm sitting there, trying not to cough, trying not to swallow, and he goes in to numb me. And let me tell you, like, I have never seen a needle so big in my life. I've had numbing shots in my, mouth for, when you go to the dentist. I've had lip injections done. I'm not scared of needles. I have tattoos. I'm not scared of needles. But let me tell you, this thing was huge. Huge, probably a foot long, maybe more, thick, like a big fat needle. And he starts going in, and I didn't realize that he would be going in 3 different depths of the neck to numb you. And it was, God, by far probably one of the worst pains that I've experienced in my life. I am not kidding you, because it's the neck, and you don't, at least I don't have a lot of fat or anything to grab onto. It was not pleasant. I never would like to have that done again at all. So anyways, once the area was numb, that's when they go in with the needles. And by then you don't really, it doesn't hurt. You can definitely feel pressure, you can feel them going into your neck, and it's definitely kind of a odd feeling, but it doesn't hurt. And again, you're not allowed to swallow anything while he's in there. When he's out, putting the sample into a dish, you can, swallow, cough. So that was probably the hard part, was, you probably had 30 seconds to a minute where you couldn't, swallow, you couldn't cough. So, if you're getting over a cold like I was, definitely do not try to get a biopsy of your neck done. So yeah, so then, when they were finished, again, it took probably maybe 30 minutes. It was under an hour. They put a bandage on my neck and, had me leave, and that was that. So for the biopsy, that took a little bit longer for me to get the results. I want to say, I didn't get my results for almost 2 weeks, I feel. And I remember I went to Portland with my family, and I visited some friends while I was up there, and hung out with my family, and I just did not have a good time at all. My mind was definitely just not in the best place. I was really anxious. I was really worried, and again, I just had that gut feeling, and at this point, I could tell my family did too. I don't know. I feel like, sometimes when something's wrong. So yeah, I just didn't have the best time. And yeah. So anyways, 2 weeks goes by, and I get called in to the doctor for my results. And again, I felt like if they're calling me in to give me my results, it's probably, It's probably something. If it was nothing, I really don't think that they would be calling me in. So yeah, so my dad and I drove down to meet with a endocrinologist who was going to go over my results. And as soon as he walked in, you know, he said, "I'm so sorry," and you know, it was like, "But you do have thyroid cancer, specifically papillary thyroid cancer." And at that point, my mind just kind of went blank. I mean, I processed what he said, but everything after, timelines, kind of the pictures he was showing me of, you know, what they found in my biopsy and ultrasound, and you know, I just, yeah, it took me a minute to really process. I was just kind of speechless. You know, so many things are going through your mind, you know. It's like, how, you know, I feel healthy, you know, like a healthy person. I exercise, you know, try to eat right. I am a healthy weight. You know, I really am conscious of, you know, being as healthy as I can be. And, you know, in that moment, I was just like, how, like, what the heck? Like, you know, how did this happen? Yeah, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. This was back in October 2019, right before my 27th birthday, sorry, right before my 27th birthday. And, you know, that was just great. You know, best birthday ever. So yeah, kind of went home from there, took some time, processed it. You know, I cried so much during this time. I cried myself to sleep like every day for like months. But yeah, from there I scheduled my surgery, and that was in the middle of November, a week before Thanksgiving of 2019. And so my surgery plan was, they were to remove my entire thyroid, even though the cancer seemed to be just on the right side of my thyroid, based on my age, based on how big the lump was. They decided that it would be best to just remove the entire thyroid. Plus, they were pretty certain that I had some cancer that had already moved into my lymph nodes, specifically on the right side of my neck. They weren't sure yet how many they would need to remove, but it was pretty significant. So my doctor was already letting me know that I would have a kind of L-shaped scar on my neck. And, you know, when you're young, and, you know, I have a really long neck, I feel, just not, you know, hearing that you're gonna have a scar just smack, you know, in the middle right there for everyone to see, everyone to ask about, just, you know, did not, you know, seem prime. So, you know, but what are you gonna do? All right, so surgery day was again in middle of November 2019, and I was super anxious for it. I had never had a surgery before, so I didn't really know what to expect, how I would feel after. The surgeon that I chose is with Virginia Mason in Seattle, and they did an amazing job. You know, before they put you under, I mean, they're so quick that you don't even have a chance to really think about what's going on. And then before you know it, you're waking up. So when I woke up, I had awful pain. You know, my throat was super dry, super raw feeling from the breathing tube, but also from like having surgery, and I was like terrified to like move my neck because I knew it was just like glued shut. You know, I didn't know how big my scar was. You know, I was on drugs. I mean, I was a mess. So when I woke up, I, you know, had some water. They gave me more pain medication, which I later had a reaction to, which I'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, I woke up and they moved me to my room where I would be staying overnight. And my family came immediately after. And, you know, I was feeling good for the first hour or so, I want to say. You know, I was feeling pretty good. But then when the nurses came in, you know, to try to get me to stand up, kind of move around, try to use the restroom, I couldn't stand up. You know, I was so dizzy. You know, I felt like vomiting. I just felt super weak, which was pretty scary. And, you know, that was you know, they would come in like every, you know, half hour to try to get me to stand up, and, you know, it kept happening. I couldn't do it. They were giving me more fluids. They gave me a whole like IV, like separate IV drip, because I was dehydrated, you know, and that all makes you have to pee more. But I couldn't like stand up, so it was tough. So finally I was able to, you know, stand up, go to the restroom. I had to have help, but I was able to, you know, go to the restroom and everything. And kind of funny story, a little gross, but when you go to the bathroom, I think it's because they're trying to like measure how much pee you're like outputting. They have like it looks like a little kid's like potty like on the actual toilet seat. And you know, because I had all these fluids, and because, you know, I was like holding it in for so long, I had too much pee for the seat, so kind of like collapsed in there. You know, I like half like collapsed myself because I was all like, you know, not feeling well and dizzy. So kind of a little disaster mess, but it was all good. Anyways, embarrassing. So yeah, so, you know, went back to my bed. That night, you know, I felt horrible. I was nauseous. I had a reaction to the pain medication that they gave me. It was, I don't even remember what all they gave me, but, you know, I had a pretty bad reaction to some of the pain meds, and so I was just not feeling good. But the next day, you know, I woke up and I was feeling much better. They removed my drain that I had out of my neck, which was a very kind of weird feeling to see, you know, a weird rubber tube getting pulled out of, you know, your kind of chest area or your bony area. Yeah, I was discharged around lunchtime and, you know, drove back home and, you know, started recuperating. It was a pretty easy recovery. You know, it did take me about, you know, a week to really, like, I don't know, get comfortable. You know, your throat is still sore, but it took me about a week, maybe 2 weeks max, to really kind of feel better. So right after Christmas, I was supposed to, you know, get my treatment started. So luckily with thyroid cancer, typically if you have papillary thyroid cancer, what they do is instead of you know, giving you radiation or chemo, they do what's called a radioactive iodine treatment, which is specific to thyroid cancer. So basically you know, swallow capsules of this radioactive iodine, and any leftover like cancerous cells that are in that area kind of cling on to that, and you basically like release it all out. And it does make you radioactive. So for about a week, like 7 to 10 days, depending on how big of a dose they give you, you have to be isolated. You can only be within you have to be like 6 feet at least away from adults. You can only, be at that distance for, a couple minutes at a time. You can't be around pets. You can't be around children. You can't be pregnant. You shouldn't be, it's not recommended you be pregnant because it is, you are radioactive. So you're, not safe to be around. And, and all of your waste too is radioactive. So your saliva, your spit when you brush your teeth, your urine, all your sweat, all of that is radioactive. So you just have to be really careful, washing dishes. You don't want to be drinking, or using disposable utensils and things like that, because the radiation will kind of stay on those things. So you want to be able to use things that can be washed. So, shortly after Christmas, I started what's called a low iodine diet. So I had to do this for about 3 weeks total, and it's hard. It's hard. So basically, you cannot have iodine. So that means most salts you cannot have. You have to have non-iodized salt. You cannot have, just can't have things that have like high contents of iodine. So seafood, like egg yolks, there's lots of things that you just cannot eat. So, going out to eat, out of the question. Salt and everything. I mean, you just, yeah. So I had to cook my meals. I had to eat separate meals from everybody else. It was hard, and it's hard working because by this time I was back at work. So it's hard working, you're working kind of odd hours. You can't just, grab a granola bar or grab something at Starbucks to eat when you get hungry. You really have to meaningfully, pack food with you that you can eat. So, yeah. Oh, no dairy as well. There's iodine in dairy, so it's really difficult to find stuff to eat. So after about 2.5 weeks of that diet, I went in and I got these shots in my hips. So I got one a day. So I got one on a Monday, another one on a Tuesday. And these shots basically, when you don't have a thyroid, you have to take a thyroid replacement hormone. And basically, for the radioactive iodine treatment to work, your thyroid hormone has to be like all types of off. Like you're not supposed to be on it. Like it's supposed to be super like high, I believe it is. So instead of having me like not take my medication, they injected me with just huge amounts of this hormone 2 days prior to me getting the radioactive iodine treatment. So these are, again, thick shots. They hurt, it's in your hip area. It kind of hurts. It doesn't feel pleasant. It makes you feel just wacky. It sucks. It just sucks. You feel all out of whack. You don't feel normal. I felt tired. Just not the best. And then on the third day, you go in to, do your treatment. So basically, I had this like really extensive like question and answer session with the doctor who was administering the treatment to me. And I had to have all my questions and all the information, everything answered before I received the treatment, because once I received it, I was radioactive and I had to immediately exit the premises of the building and drive home and just isolate for a week and a half. So, once I signed all my paperwork, it feels like you're signing your life away. I was freaking out. I couldn't bring anyone with me because it wasn't safe for them to be around me. So I was alone. Yeah, so once I had all the paperwork signed, I went into the room, and there were two doctors in there wearing these full-on lead suits. They look like astronauts. They pull out what looked like a giant lead canister thing, and they pull out these huge pills, and that was what I had to swallow. That's the radioactive iodine treatment. And so again, it's really important that it doesn't stay on your tongue or stay in your mouth for long. You put on your back of the tongue, swallow with water, that's it. Don't let it linger. And if you struggle swallowing pills like I do, I had to practice. I was buying the biggest calcium pills that I could find to try to practice swallowing so that I wouldn't have an issue. So anyway, I had to take a series of 3 radioactive iodine tablets, which were very large, swallow them, and then immediately exit the premises. So again, I had to go to Seattle for my treatment, and then I lived down in Tacoma, so I had to drive about 45 minutes back, and then I was isolating. So and timeline wise, this was mid-January that I received, it was January 18th that I received my treatment, or I started my treatment. And so it was the end of January where I was finished with my treatment. I had my full body scan, where they just, see if any cancer lights up, to see, if the radioactive iodine did its magic on you. And so I, the radioactive iodine was pretty simple. It does cause really dry mouth, so I was sucking on a lot of candies, which made my mouth raw. You have to pee as much as you can, so you have to drink as many fluids as you can to really kind of flush your system of the radiation, because again, that's not healthy for you either. It's good in terms of getting rid of the cancer cells, but it's not good for everything else in your body. So that's how cancer treatments work. It's good for one thing, but it's not good for other things. So and it made me really tired, made me a little nauseous. I didn't feel great, but I didn't, it could have been worse. So and then I spent all of February, kind of in and out, doing lots of scans, doing lots of blood tests, playing around with my medication dosage. And then it wasn't until March 2nd where I got my, it was a phone call, and I was at work, and, they told me that I was clear, and they found no cancer, and that I was officially in remission. And that was probably one of the best days of my whole life, was receiving that phone call. It's just so relieving. I mean, so many different emotions are going through your mind at that point, and it was just amazing. Unfortunately, about a week later, COVID officially hit, and everyone was in isolation and in lockdown. So I felt like I never really got the chance to, celebrate being healthy, to do any of that. But, I'm so grateful that, timing wise, it just, I dodged it by a bullet. I can't even imagine what people are going through right now, with, health things in the middle of a pandemic, not being able to have family there with you, on surgery day, or, going to those hard appointments, and getting those, getting all that news. It's horrible. And then being scared that, you get a cancer diagnosis, And then there's a possibility you could get sick from going to the doctor because it's a pandemic. You know, it's just, yeah, my heart is with everybody who is dealing with, you know, a health crisis right now. It's definitely not fun. It adds an additional, you know, negative element. But yeah, so, you know, that's my cancer story. And, you know, I would say listen to your body. If you're feeling tired, you know, if you're just not feeling right and, you know, you're noticing that something's just off, you know, get a second opinion. Don't just listen to one doctor. Get a second opinion, because you know your body best. They don't know exactly how you feel. They're just going off of what you're saying. You know, get a second opinion, get a third opinion. You know, really figure out what it is that's wrong, because if you have that feeling that, you know, something just isn't right, then, you know, something probably isn't right. And, you know, really it's really important to get it taken care of as soon as possible. You know, if I could go back, like the amount of years that I had where I just did not feel good, you know, I can't get those years back. And you know, it just kind of sucks. Like, I was not motivated, you know. I feel like I could have done a lot more in my life had I felt like good, you know. So yeah, listen to your body. And you know, just listen to your body. So anyways, I hope that answered some questions, you know, that you might have if you're going through, you know, surgery, or you're going to be getting radioactive iodine treatment. But yeah, I just wanted to share my story. You know, that's something that really helped me when I was first diagnosed, was watching other YouTube videos of people similar in age to me who were going through a similar diagnosis or situation. And you know, I think that really helped me in a lot of ways, to see that, you know, you're not alone. There are other people going through it, and whatever you're feeling, it's okay. You know, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel mad. It's okay to, you know, it's okay to feel upset. It's okay to think that it's not fair. You know, it's okay. It's okay. But don't let yourself stay in that negative mindset. You know, a positive mindset and a positive outlook is, you know, key into getting through anything difficult. So like I said, it's okay to, you know, cry with your family, to, you know, cry yourself to sleep like I did every night. You know, yeah, it's okay to say that the world isn't fair. It's so, you know, because it's not. And you know, and if you're dealing with something and you feel like, you know, no one understands what you're going through, you know, definitely reach out. You know, I'm here to, you know, talk to you and, you know, help you out in any way that I can, you know, and let you know that, you know, you will get through it. You know, it's sometimes the toughest things in life that that create kind of the best outcomes later on. So, you know, you just have to remember that, and you know, you'll get through it.